Greetings, viewers. I'm here with you once again. I would like to first and foremost thank you for, those of you that subscribe to my channel. I'm really very grateful. And for those who are yet to, I really wish you would press the button down and subscribe. Today I will be talking about a critical issue in academia, the question concerning whether academia is a 9-to-5 job. So this episode is academia a 9-to-5 job? Well, I would really would have wished that I had a group of academics around for me to interview them, and probably then I can do less of the talking and let them give their experiences. However, this is sort of a monologue. I'll give you my perspective, and maybe someday we can have the discussion. I'm sure people have different views concerning what academics do. So with regards to whether academics are doing 9-to-5 job, I'm not going to press down an opinion onto you, but what I will do is I tell you what academics do, and at the end, you would decide to answer that question. First and foremost, a 9-to-5 job is usually jobs where you come in 9 in the morning and leave 5 in the evening. Now, don't take it too hard with regards to, the time frame. Some jobs start at 7, but usually a 9-to-5 job is 8 hours, what you do during the day, and then you enjoy your food and sleep later at night. But when it comes to academia, it's a little different, because in academia, when we talk about academics, we're talking about people who work in universities where there is teaching and learning, as well as research institutions. It doesn't have to be universities, but any institutions that deal with teaching and research basically falls within this category. I'm talking about at the tertiary level, which is beyond the secondary school level. So I'll give you my experience when it comes to academia, and I've listed at least 10 different things that academics do. I will start from 0 to 9. The very first one is academics do administration. In administration, we're talking about leadership responsibilities, where someone is a HOD, a center director, a coordinator within departments or sections of the university, deans. There are various positions of leadership in academia where it involves administrative work. But again, I have to state that you do not really have to hold a specific position to do administration. All academics somehow do some sort of work administratively, which can be, of course, it can be scaled down at different percentages. Some people do 10% administration, some others do 50%, some do 80%, and some do 100% administration. But in my case, I use myself an example because I think my situation is typical, where you're a professor and you have to do various things. In majority of the cases, academics do what I've identified to be 10 key roles. One, the administration involves leadership. It involves including reading your emails. You can't believe it, when I come to the office at 8 o'clock, most times I'm unable to finish reading my emails to the end of the day. Sometimes if I have to squarely focus on reading and responding to emails, I spend 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 or 4, before I finish them. And by the time I'm getting off the emails, more emails are coming. And most of these emails involve requests for you to carry out various responsibilities that are not office bound. Some are site bound, some are just things that involve meetings. So academics do this. That's my number 0. My number 1 is teaching and curricular development. So academics teach. Obviously, that's what most academics are known for, to be lecturers who prepare course materials, go into class, teach them, and then assess students and produce, document the results. Students pay for this and it has to be done, and academics have to do it. Many professors, lecturers, at various levels have to teach between 2 to 20 or 24 hours a week. Remember, the 9 to 5 job itself is a 40-hour-a-week job, and some academics have to teach more than 24 hours during this period. And each teaching involves preparation of course materials, delivering the course materials, and then documenting assessments, and various other things that many people do not know. So academics have to do this. I, for one, this semester, I have to teach 4 hours a week at my university, the Namibia University of Science and Technology. But also as someone who is sought after by other institutions, in terms of collaboration, they do invite me to teach, maybe 1 hour sometimes, depending on availability. And these days of post-COVID culture where we do webinars, we're always being invited to make speeches. So these are all added to the teaching and learning aspect. My number 3 is research. I'm hoping that my next video will provide to you an example of a research that I've done, but research is the core of the work we do. And research itself is not usually a class-bound or office-bound work. It can take you to the field. It takes you through trips around the world, project sites, countries that are different from where you are located, and within countries, across regions. It involves movement, it involves thinking, it involves doing. And so teaching is core to that, and research is core to that. And even within that research, for you to even get the opportunity to do the research, many a times you have to write grants, grants proposals in order to, search for research projects, and then you're assessed, you get it in, and then you have to carry them out. That's for research. And research is the core of science, because that's how we dig into knowledge, to expand existing knowledge, to produce new knowledge, to create innovations, and as well as to create awareness on what is known and what is not known. My number 3 is networking. Networking in this case involves our capacity to engage within our profession. Academics of various disciplines have their professional bodies, associations where they belong, and these associations are where you go to engage directly with colleagues, in order to build human relationship-based knowledge. You present your work in these associations and have them critiqued. And many a times you also search for, or maybe you're called upon to take on leadership responsibilities in these associations. So that's something that it involves networking. And in the current status of academia, the networking has gone beyond just mere association. Even related and unrelated disciplines and colleagues now have they create platforms in order to network. And the essence of network is to create collaboration, share knowledge, and build knowledge that is not within the typical teaching and learning environment. And the next academics do mentorship, they do mentoring. And there's a lot of benefit to that. I mean, I for one, I can tell you that someone I'm mentoring is actually behind the camera. I can tell you that. And many a times I cannot really, at some point you can't really do much without working with people, you know, your junior colleagues, your colleagues, and you know, your research assistants whom you have to work with. They have to carry out certain, you have to give them responsibilities, but each of these responsibilities are tied to your teaching or research or networking or other sort of things you do, which they provide additional value to, and in the process, you're expected to teach them off class, but they learn directly from what you do. And so mentorship is core to it. Mentorship is how you know, as a professor, I'm able to let a colleague believe that what I'm doing, that they can do it. But that's one side of it. But even the beneficial part of mentorship is, in these days of, you know, Gen Z, millennial Gen Z, and all that group of people, I'm Gen X, as you would imagine. So when I'm with this sort of people, the way they think is different. And so I very much tap directly from their own brain in terms of how they see things and how they view things. And they provide, you know, together we provide services that lead to my next point, which is community service. When you do research, when you teach, those things you teach and those outputs from your research are expected to be put into action. And so community service is one area where we have to really work hard to create impact. And just talking about community service, my podcast itself is my community service. I'm trying to deliver community service in terms of creating awareness amongst fellow academia. And of course, as you would see in subsequent videos, there will be instances where I have to interview other academics. I have to learn from them as well. So it's community service. It's not, we don't do this for money. We do it because it provides opportunity to engage, and as academics, we always have to engage. And we talk about supervision. Teaching is one thing, but remember, at the research graduate level in academia, we're talking about master's students, PhD students. Some of them do not need more of teaching, they need more of supervision. And so we do thesis supervision, project supervision, and many professors, many scholars, senior lecturers, associate professors, assistant professors, you know, whatever category you can think of in academia have a role in this. Junior lecturers would normally, or tutors would normally supervise students' projects. And the higher level academics, in terms of the hierarchy, are people who have to deal with not just projects, but also thesis supervision. So as a professor, you have to supervise PhD students, you have to supervise master students, you have to supervise undergraduate students, and so on and so forth. So the supervision itself isn't something you come to the office and, you walk into class and do. It's done very differently, systematically, but it's very much embedded into the 40-hour a week that an academic is expected to do, to work. Then the next one I would like to mention is project management. So usually every research in itself is a project, right? And some research are desktop based, and so you can do that from the privacy of your office or even from the privacy of your bedroom or living room. And then there are those that are site bound. You have to go to the site to collect data. Some of them isn't just about collecting data for research, but also it involves integrating community efforts or community service within research in order to deliver a product to communities. And as an academic, you are supposed to either engage in these activities as a participant or you take on a leadership position. Either way, it takes time, it takes knowledge, and it takes space. The next one is writing and publishing. So I started by talking about research, networking, mentorship, supervision. They are all linked projects. They are all linked to one thing we talk a lot in academia: publication. Publication is one way we try to show visibility for the work we do. We give visibility for the work we do, and we get others to read them, get to know about it, and perhaps get some feedback to improve the next work we do. In fact, you must have heard the phrase in academia that says, publish or perish. That's because academics are expected not just to talk, but to write. Not just to research, but to publish the outputs from the research. It's not just to mentor, but to share the experience as well. So publication is key. We do publication through writing papers to be published in journals, going to conferences to deliver those papers face to face, and having colleagues, ask questions and give us feedback or critique what we've done. We do publications in other various forms: policy briefs, newspaper articles, magazine articles. Wherever you've got a voice as an academic, you're expected to deliver some form of publication. Obviously, the publications are usually determined by, or the nature of your publication would normally be determined, framed or formed by the type of audience you want to talk to or write for. So if I'm to write for citizens, I need the newspaper, I need the magazines. If I'm to write for colleagues within my profession, then I need professional professional briefs, professional journals, and so on and so forth. But if it is squarely around the discipline, in my case, land management, land administration, land governance, or anything land, I have to look for journals that that has its scope is around issues on land. And so this is core. And for your promotions, for your awards, publication is a key part of it. So academics have to do that. But in addition, academics also have to organize, just like you have to write papers and articles in journals and other outlets. Academics also have to organize events. And you might be surprised, they are very much related. First of all, organization of events gives a platform for papers to be delivered. When we talk about workshops, conferences, seminars, colloquia, and so many others. But at the same time, the organization of scientific events in itself can be curated just like a paper. It's designed to deliver a particular form of knowledge, either through its procedure, its theme, and the delivery. And academics have to do all of this. How many things have I mentioned? I believe it's 10, because I started from 0, 1, 2, 3 to 9. So, can I ask you now, do you think all of these things that I've mentioned can be done within the frame of a 9 to 5 job? For me, the answer is no. First and foremost, I can tell you in my experience, I can't come to the office at 9 in the morning just to write a paper. I'm going to have to answer my emails. I have to hold classes. My bosses will call me. Yes, we have bosses. My bosses would call me to answer questions. They give me responsibilities to carry out. So many a times I do them at night, during the weekends, or sometimes when I feel really, really, pressed by deadline, I lock my office, refuse to pick on my phone just to do that. But I can tell you, to carry out one paper, averagely, it would normally take a scholar sometimes up to 2 weeks or 3 weeks if it's single authored. Now, if you're very experienced, and this way we're talking about where there are no interferences, all things being equal, but if you're very experienced, yeah, sometimes I've been able to produce 0 drafts in 2 nights, 1 night, depending on whom you're writing for. But that would mean completely abandoning every other thing you're supposed to do in order to deliver. And when you do that, the other 9 things in the list will still have to be done. So, is academia a 9 to 5 job? Make academia a 9 to 5 job, and I can tell you one thing, you will struggle to compete. So, I'd like to thank you. That's all I have for today, but I would like to thank you for listening. And like I said, I'm sorry I have to make this a monologue, but please do not forget to subscribe, like, and press that button down there. And most importantly, I want you to look forward to my next episode. But I have just made you one promise. Today, it's a monologue. The next time that I discuss the 9 to 5 issue, I will talk less and let other academics give you their experience. But for today, hold me responsible for my own experience. Thanks very much, and bye.